Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining tonight or listening later when I post it. We're talking about Doreen Virtue. So I have spoken about her before, but keep in mind, I'm not a person that knew anything about her. I just knew about her cards and things like that. I never knew the other side of it. So, of course, I had to research it. Hi, Sandra. I had to research it. Hi, Liz. I had to research it and have a look at it. And so the best way to explain it to you is from a 4 pillars perspective. Okay. So from a 4 pillars perspective is from how a chart is. So if we look at Doreen, you can see she is yang fire. And then if you look, she sits on water. That water by nature puts out the fire. Okay, so when that water puts out this fire, that means she's always actually under pressure. But she has always lived with this forever because it's the day she is born. So that day she is born is for her always under pressure. But remember, fire needs a stage. And so for this woman, I believe that, I take my hat off to her for being able to transform within 6 months and do whatever else she is going to do. Hi, Vicky. So this is a change that's coming. It's coming, everybody from the date that this actually happened was January the 7th. So if you have a look at January the 7th, I believe it came before January the 7th. But January the 7th, she decided this is what's going to happen. And so January the 7th is fire, and that fire is a horse, and that's what she sits on is a rat. By nature, the water put out this fire. And so the water is her house of spouse. And he actually happens to be also water. But the decision that was made, it wasn't made January the 7th. January the 7th, she must have decided, or they both together decided to tell the world about this. But from looking at her chart, the decision was actually made in 2015, and she may have had to wait another year before she could tell the world about it or what she wanted to do. And I truly believe that because it's in her chart, and a chart does not lie. So when we talk about a chart is made up of many things. And what it has, in a chart, any chart, there are 8 ticks. Where your 8 ticks are, it doesn't matter. But for Doreen, her ticks, if you have a look at her ticks, hi Mary, so if you look at her ticks, don't look at the luck pillar. But if you look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in earth, okay? She's the fire element, and she's got 5 in earth alone. So that's her voice. That's actually also her talents, her skills. Basically, she just had to open her mouth and it's ching ching. It was like that. So for her, 2015, I believe, is the time when this actually happened, because in 2015 it is a goat. So by nature, she already has the ox and she already has the dog, and then the goat came in, and that's on her earth. It becomes an earth penalty. So that earth penalty actually came in 2015, and I would say in July 2015. So if someone researches and goes back to that, July 2015 is the actual time that something happened to her, and it's with what she says or does, and it obviously got her in trouble because that's her expression. So what came out after that was like somebody talked her into waiting in that way, but someone else at the same time talked her into doing this as well. So really she also said, don't allow other people's ego to distract you from your mission. Well, she has just done the same thing. So her words, her new belief, which she still has a lot of followers. I'm not saying unfollow her, But what I'm saying is people are looking at their certificates and thinking, oh, no, you've got this certificate. You need to just build a bridge and get over it, because that was your journey. And that journey may not have happened if it wasn't for Doreen Virtue, okay? So it may not have ever occurred if it wasn't for her. And in the words of a friend of mine, Lynn, it's like winner, winner, chicken dinner, you know. So she had, in 2015, she had resources. And that resource is amazing for her because she had this thought in her head. Who put that thought in her head? Somebody else put the thought in her head. Because 2015 is wood on earth. That earth, remember, is a penalty. So for her, there is no wood whatsoever in her chart. Okay. And who has the wood in the chart? He has the wood in his chart. So I haven't posted his, but anyway, so this is his, okay? So there's wood, there's wood. He has the wood. So he could persuade her. He could change her ideas, and he could also take her wherever in that way. And so doing things like downsizing her animal sanctuary, fairyology courses that apparently we're paying for that. Well, you know what? If God and Noah heard about this, they're not going to be happy. So again, what do you do with that? I know. So if you no longer want it, then just avoid it. But I believe from 2015, she needed saving. And so what did she need saving from? One day she will tell us, or something may happen. What ends up happening is, though, through her chart, it actually tells us that somebody in authority changed it. And in pillars, when we talk about authority, it's what controls you. And for her, water controls the fire. The man she's with, who actually also changed his name to Virtue. So, I don't know, you guys put whatever you want, 2 and 2 together for that. I believe she needed saving. And she needed saving because the goat in 2015, with this ox and with this dog, became a penalty. So it was something she was doing, and apparently she was researching Jesus, she was researching Jesus for another set of cards in that sense. She wanted affirmations from the gospel and things like that. So again, it changed. Hi, Michelle. So it changed for her there and then. And how did it change? That's why it changed. But we find out later on. I truly believe we will find out next year, because the decision she made in 3, which is 2015, was the thought that came in 2016, 17, 18. And that's why I said something's going to happen in October. And so for me, my students and my clients actually tell me what's going on. And so I just take it on board and go, okay, no problem. So in October, she started looking for a church. If really she was switched on, etc., with this person, they should just open their own church. And why should they open their own church? Because she has what we call the gates, the net between the two. So she's got the gate of heaven and the gate of the underworld. Then she comes into, not last year, the year before, she came into the dog. So again, there's 2 gates to the underworld, and there's the gate of heaven. That's her. She gets those messages. She gets those downloads. And, she's true as in that person. I'm not saying she's the Messiah, but you know what I mean. But all I'm thinking is, how miserable must she have been, or how much pressure was she under for her to actually change everything she has worked all her life for? And in 4 pillars, we have a symbolic star, and that symbolic star sometimes makes you give up your faith for you to move forward. And her faith was her cards, it was her fairies, it was her angels, it was all of that. And she gave that up. But something something did that. And again, we will find out next year, because we didn't find out in October. All we found out in October was she was looking for a church. I truly believe that she needed saving from something, and she should just open up her own church. If she did that, it would be so much better. So the dragon and the dog that she has in her chart are the gates of heaven and the underworld, and she's in between the two. So whatever she says is gospel in everybody else's eyes. And will she come back to the cards? I do not know. I believe she can't let it go because she is fire. Fire is up there. So fire needs a stage. So until she has a stage, as in a proper stage, it's not going to be the same person. She won't be the same person. And in that way, when we're looking at a chart, her chart actually tells us that in her luck pillar of when she turned 58 to 68, which was last year, there was a decision made. Now, this is Earth. That Earth with this Earth is the gate between heaven and the underworld, but she already had it here. So what is this all about? Pillars does not lie. Okay, you can't bullshit pillars. Oh, am I allowed to say bullshit? Anyway, you can't do something like that. So what is on top of this that made her feel trapped? Okay, and that is metal. So the metal element to a fire person is actually money. Okay, and yes, she does have enough money, but money was the culprit, and it's there for 10 years. So why is she doing this? Because there is no more money from cards. Hey House say something, someone else said something. I can't answer that, but it will come out, because what we are coming into is another dog. And I truly believe something would happen in October, but nobody seems to know. All there is just, okay, she's looking for a church. They've moved and they're looking for a church. So the other thing is, if you no longer want it, don't pass judgment on it. Her words became negative, which does not go with God's words. So that was a big mistake. And that mistake is because she already made that decision, I believe, in 2015, to make all this earth, what comes out is wrong. Okay. And, you know, the woman, I'm sure, still has the biggest following, that kind of thing. It's kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of like me doing thousands of homes and then turning around to say to people, I was just playing with it, you know, I'm going back to Christianity, or I'm going back to my background. I'm going to be a Muslim or something like that. So for her, it's the authority. What puts out this water? The fire is the water puts out this fire. And who is water? Partners. So her partners have always had an influence on her. It's just this time around, it happened where everything came together in a different way. So when I said before, water puts out the fire, again, last year was a monkey. So there's the monkey, there's the rat, and there's the dragon. Those three together, when they combine, like they did in her chart and on this day, they made more water. Again, too much pressure. So when I say she may have needed saving, that's where I'm speaking from a four elements point of view. And in her chart, you know, this authority, it could have been for other, you know, anybody else, could have been the landlord tells you to get out, the teacher writes a note home, the boss tells you leave please, that kind of thing. So I totally believe Hay House has something to do with this, because her partner is the authority and Hay House is the other authority. And we will find out. One day she will write a book, and that book will say the truth of what actually happened. And for a woman like her, you know, I saw one deck of cards and it had 100% gentle and safe tarot. You know, people love that sort of stuff. And she went out of her way to create this safe, happy, whatever place. And then she pulled the rug out. So again, some of us are born with certain things and abilities, or we experience particular things. So for her, it was both. She had her experience early on in life, and she did belong to a church then as well, and she wanted more, etc. And it's the same again now. She wants more, or someone has pushed her or driven her to her finding out more. And, you know, we always have God around us. How do you tune in is up to you. But divination is an art. It's been around for a long, long, long time. And my parents did the same thing. We had a Mary Magdalene book. And so if somebody had a question, they would hold the book, ask the question, and then my father would open it. He would count 7 pages, then 7 lines. Okay. And then there's your answer in full to whatever the question is. I do that with the I Ching, and I look at your chart, whatever you're asking me. And the thing with this is it's old as the Bible. It was called bibliomancy. You know, they used to cast things. So cast sticks, cast coins, shells, whatever. It was the same thing. What's his name? One of my students actually told me this. Jesus's garments, they tossed coins to see who will get his one of his gowns or whatever. So again, you know, whatever you want to call it that kind of thing. But her chart translated tells me she is the Ghostbuster, tells me she can lead an army into battle. Whether she brings back this army or not, that actually does not matter. It's the thing about her, she can lead. We evaluate what the chart is telling us, your talents, your backgrounds, your potentials, your relationships, your health, your success. So when you understand your elemental nature, you can live with so much awareness. And I teach this as it becomes your blueprint. It is the motion that makes your life go forward at the same time. And so for Michael's chart, I'm going to show it to you anyway, but I haven't. It's not we don't have his hour. So he is water by nature. He has all the wood that Doreen is actually missing, and he sits on an ox, and he has the dog, and he has a dragon. So he already has that sixth sense ability. At the same time, again, in July, in 2015, something happened because, again, the goat of the year 2015, the goat of July, same ox, dog. So for me, when I see that in two people's charts and they are together, something happened, and it was not something small. It's in the chart, and he's not bad looking. I remember speaking with Michelle and saying he's a cross between, you know, the pictures we see as Jesus and Fabio. Yeah, so that kind of thing. In the chart, though, he also comes into a time, and the time he comes into is a dragon. And he came into that in 2016. So I haven't got his chart like Doreen's, but if I just show that, he came into it there. So he is under pressure, and he's trapped with authority because it makes more. That earth that he comes into is the dam wall, and this water cannot flow anymore. So somebody started this. And again, I say it's whoever was in authority. And for Doreen's chart, the time she actually came into, if I put that there, the time she came into is metal on a dog. The metal is her money. So the money is different now, but at the same time, the money is what brings it together. And when we look at her chart, she's determined. She will make it through the struggles. She's that kind of woman. We call it she's got days of Fei Kong in her chart. And so for her, you know, she's like parting the water, basically, that kind of thing. And again, I believe she can't let it go because she's the fire element. That fire element to speak has to have a stage. I know she, from others, that she is speaking on a Facebook page, and there is a new book, etc. So I don't think it's enough for her. And again, wanting to be completely aligned with God, I don't think you weren't in the first place. A lot of people worry when I'm talking about somebody like that is, am I going to say something bad? Well, something triggered her to go AWOL, and it's in her chart. And as I said before, 4 pillars doesn't lie. It tells you. If we have the right birth date, it tells you. And for me, when I saw how much work she had done, excuse me, 20 plus years of helping millions and millions of people see beyond their troubles and believing. How amazing is that? And to go and just, it's like, okay, gee, something wants to come out. Oh, excuse me. So, the loving words from Jesus is what started this. As she said, the card deck, she was researching the gospel for it. And then on the day that this happened, it's true, on the day this happened, something did happen, because in the chart it tells us that there was spirit on the day that she decided to do this. So here's the spirit on the day with the wood. So that would push this fire to speak. But at the same time, there is the monkey, as I said, the rat and the dragon. Makes more water, water puts out the fire. So again, with her resources, she has no resources. And I know she did all these cards and did all these workshops, etc., but she has no resources. So for her, before she starts something, she has to do a lot of research, and she is that kind of a person. And just keep in mind, she's fire. Fire is closer, it goes up, so it's closer. It's already intuitive by nature. Hi, Dan. And so with that, being spiritual in that way, and then having the dog, the gate of the heaven, the gate of the underworld, then having all three come together, earth as a penalty, something went wrong big time. And so what I would like to, I actually sent a little thing saying, what an amazing woman, blah, blah, blah. And I told Michelle, she read it, it had a tick, so I know that she read it. And at the same time, what an amazing woman, yet she will come back in a different way, and that is next year. I really, truly hope she does open her own church, because she can then do what she wants to do and not somebody else dictate it for her. Will she be with this guy next year? As I said before, he is water and he sits on the ox. Next year, the dog comes in. The dog and the ox cause a bit of an upheaval for him, and that upheaval is his house of spouse. So because what he sits on there as the ox, when the dog comes in, it challenges him. It challenges him via his house of spouse. So will they still be together? They should have actually broke up in October. I thought they would break up in October. So when something is in your chart and it doesn't go exactly to that, it means wherever you are sitting, sleeping, the house you're in actually is taking care of you. So I would say they're in a good room and it's actually taking care of them at the moment. When they move again, when they find this church and move, it'll be a different story. For him, he is probably enjoying this more than she is enjoying it, because she needs a stage. I know she's saying her messages and whatever to people, and which is beautiful, because there's a lot of people out there that are very distraught over this. And some people believe that she is it, and she should not just abandon that. And I don't think she really abandoned. And she's doing the is it 2nd of December? She's doing that in Sydney. So I don't think she was going to do that, but I think she is now doing that, the 2nd of December. Now, December is still November, because it doesn't change till the 8th of December. And so looking at that, it's still the pig, and it's still as in water, and it's still metal. And so for her, elementally, the metal that is on top actually harmonizes with this fire and this fire. Yet the water will put a lot of pressure on her. The water is also a travel star of when they start this. And it's all done in a pig month. So there's water and metal. So the metal is money on top, and there's a lot of harmony with that in the chart. And then the pig, which is a travel star, means people are coming from everywhere over water to see this, to pay their money and to see this. And so when we look at that, that's very strong water, because what we do, we have a cycle, and the cycle goes like this. There's the pig, then the rat, then the ox. Those three. The pig is the beginning of water, the rat is the peak of water, and the ox is the end of water. And they come out in this month that she is doing this thing in Sydney, Hawaii, one of those. Anyway, so really in that sense, there's so much pressure on the day. If she's on a stage, I think she will get through it. If she's not on the stage, it won't. She'll be in pieces until she gets on the stage. Because once she's on that stage, that is it for her. Whereas her partner, the stage gives him the jitters. So I think he's riding on her tailcoat. But what would I know? So again, it doesn't tell us, it tells us they're very challenged together, and I believe they are challenged together. But, when people are together and there's a challenge, they think, oh, this is going to make them that little bit stronger at the same time. And with her, she was born with this chart, so that's the heavens energy. What she did with it on this earth is just brilliant. It's amazing. And so there's heaven, there's the earth, what she did with it, and she is man in between, human between. And she is that kind of person. She doesn't have results, so there's no stability, but the minute she's on a stage, it's her outlet. It's her earth, all that earth. As I said before, everybody has 8 ticks. 5 of her ticks are in earth. So really, she just has to open her mouth and ching, ching, it's like that. And she's got to get it out to the public, because that's what fire is about. They have an idea and they need to get it out to whoever is going to listen. And I don't believe the people that she has lost or have felt disappointed, it actually doesn't matter, because next year, all that earth that is coming in, it's about her. She'll just speak and they'll just come back. It's like that. And that's the relationship she will have. It's just when she speaks next year, that speaking is what we call underworld. It's going to be very, very hard for her, because God, Jesus, is heavenly, and down here is the underworld, and she's in between. So I believe she will feel trapped, and she will feel trapped in a way that, maybe this is how she started the angel cards in the first place, is she felt trapped with the church she was in, etc. And her words, her beliefs, whether you believe her anymore or not, it doesn't matter. It's her journey, really. And if people feel betrayed and whatever, people break up every day. and they move on. People feel betrayed every day and they move on. Whatever you do, if you're doing healings with consciousness, it's a belief, it's a system. Don't uncreate that because the person who taught it to you or that you followed all of a sudden fell apart. You can't do that. So this Yang fire, I believe, at one time or another was looking for something either to save her or something to change. And this person that she's with says, this is going to save your life. And later on she'll realize, he's the false person in the charts. And so everybody needs saving at one time. Just remember that. And saying she is now worthy of seeing Christ in scripture and that kind of thing, really, what would Jesus say about that? Anyway, it's, again, I believe it's the people that have made this happen, and I totally believe it's Hay House to begin with. In class, we talked about it, I think last month was, because she has no wood to keep the fire fueled, all the people around her are her resources. So maybe there's other people who have decks of cards or have books and they can't put that out there, but put Doreen Virtue on it, and it's out there. You can't sell something, just put Feng Shui on the beginning of it and you've sold it. Yeah. Feng Shui haircut, Feng Shui car, Feng Shui manicures. Yeah, that kind of thing. And so, again, we have our free will. What you actually do with it is up to you. But for those that are still doing the healing with consciousness and all of that, don't stop because, the person that you looked up to is no longer there. People looked up to Jesus and he wasn't there, but in spirit and all of that, somebody is there, okay? And so the practice of this should not just be thrown away because one person suddenly changed their mind. We're all too good for that. So have a look for yourself. Have a look for yourself. Where are you heading? Because really at the moment, I don't want to be in her shoes. For someone that doesn't know their real birthday, I still don't want to be in her shoes. But as I said before, she went out of her way to create this beautiful, beautiful thing. And you can't just come and take it away from people. So please share this. Any questions? Come on, someone's going to have a question. No? Yeah. No questions. All right. I'll go then, huh? Okay, just before I go, so what this month brings is water. Metal, look at what metal is for you. So metal and water, they support each other. So the metal is like the bowl that holds water. So it's very harmonious. And water is communicating. So by hook or by crook, you find a way to communicate, but in a very moralistic and virtuous way, because that's what it is. It's not the metal of last month, we're off with their heads. Now it's about precious. And precious is us. I don't know if you all remember the workshop at the beginning of the year. I spoke about what metal is this year. Metal is the precious. And we as humans are precious. And that's what this is all about. So again, we're there on top as precious and we're going to find a way to communicate. Communicate and bring things out. And so if you need to say something or get something through to somebody, this is the month for you. Yeah, because it's supported at the same time. So go for it. Yes, you might hurt somebody's feelings, but you know how I feel about that. It's better out than in, as they say. And if you don't say it, what ends up happening is that will come down and manifest. And it manifests as a diet problem, digestion problem, food allergies, all of that. So why do that to yourself? Get it out there. Build a bridge. Get over it. All right. Good night, everyone.